So this is a Matchbox Adventure 2000 toy, and it has a rather interesting history to it. It is a K-2001 Raider Command toy, and it's quite unusual in that it splits into two different vehicles. So the front vehicle actually launches away from the rear vehicle, but this is not the only thing that's unusual about it, because this toy actually featured in the pages of 2000 AD, and you may know that 2000 AD is famous for creating the comic book character Judge Dredd, and it was his strip that this vehicle actually appeared in. Interestingly, without Matchbox's permission initially, it seems, which is really surprising, because in this day and age you'd never get away with that. You'd always have to get permission first. But apparently this turned up as, I want to get this right, it's called a where are we? I've taken my glasses off, which was never a good idea when I'm trying to read stuff. Now, yeah, in 2000 AD it was called a Land Raider. It's not called that as a toy, but it's called a Land Raider in 2000 AD, made up of, oddly, the Land Raider segment at the back and the Killdozer segment at the front. I'm not making this up. That's what they called it, because it was 2000 AD, and that's the sort of thing they did in those days. So this was sort of late 70s, and 2000 AD was quite young at that point as well. And strangely, after it had appeared in the comic, Tharg the Mighty then ran a competition where you could win all of the Adventure 2000 mainline sets. So Matchbox seemed to be quite happy to do that, and yet strangely, unlike Corgi at the same sort of era, they didn't then make it a tie-in with Judge Dredd, which is a massive missed opportunity, as a few of the websites that I've looked at have mentioned. You know, you would have thought that they would have repackaged this Raider Command and turned it into a Judge Dredd Land Raider, but they didn't do that, which is really foolish of them, because it was clearly a golden opportunity to do so, completely by accident, seemingly, and not pre-planned. Now, personally, I can't believe that they reproduced it that closely and didn't have permission or forewarning to be able to do that. Somebody had word with somebody somewhere, maybe in a pub in London or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened personally. But anyway, so this was very popular at the time. It came with a few sort of soldier figures. It's got tank treads at the back here, and I've only got them on one side in this particular example that I've picked up. I'd been aiming to get it off eBay, but I actually picked it up from Blue Harvest in Morley, because it was there, and it was just like kind of an impulse thing, just to get an example of it, really. And you'll have seen in an earlier live that I did that I've got the Crusader in the Adventure 2000 range as well. So there's only one that I haven't. Well, no, that's not accurate. There are 3 other main vehicles that I haven't got, which I might try and pick up if I see them in the wild in reasonable shape. This was a missile launcher here. A red missile would have been on top there, but this one doesn't come with a missile. But you can see that the mechanism is there. The really lethal mechanism is what I'm about to show you, if I can get this right. And this really is terrifying, because bear in mind, the front of this vehicle is die cast. 1, 2, 3, go! It's bounced back into view. That's rather nice. But as you can see, it whizzes away from the rear section quite happily, and that's not even with it properly attached. I can't quite see whether or not it's a problem with the one that I've got, but it looks to me as if there might be something kind of jammed in the back there that shouldn't be, as if maybe something fractured off. But it's got these little notches there that latch onto notches here on the rear part of it. It's kind of difficult to see those, but you can just about make those out. And this is the the lethal spring-loaded element that pushes it forwards when you depress the little notch at the back. And as you can see, it's got nice level of detail on it, very, very heavy, very, very solid, and the classic sort of olive green, and that's where it's got its details there. So Matchbox Raider Command K-2001, 1977, made in England. So, this was quite a popular range apparently, but it was getting towards the end of Matchbox's era. So this was kind of their attempt to bring in a sort of science fiction element to their toy lines, which is eminently sensible. And they got this out just before Star Wars as well. But it wasn't, it was in no way sort of tied into that. But unfortunately, of course, the arrival of Star Wars really put paid to a lot of these more traditional toy lines, because all of a sudden all the kids wanted the Star Wars toys, and you can see a lot of the original sort of toy manufacturers started to suffer about this time, unfortunately. So that's just life, I guess. But yeah. So I didn't know of the Judge Dredd tie-in of old, and I've had to refresh my memory a little bit on exactly when it appeared. It's actually part of the Cursed Earth saga, when Judge Dredd tries to go from Mega City 1 to Mega City 2 with a cure for a plague, and apparently there'd already been in it stories that had sort of taken up this sort of theme before, but from a Judge Dredd point of view, it is one of his sort of big storylines from very early, and we see him going back out into the Cursed Earth on a number of occasions to do various other missions. But this was, a very unusual thing, because it was a kind of a toy tie-in without actually having a toy tie-in. But so much the better, really. For the kids who are reading the comic, obviously this was a good thing. So I think that's about it for this one. And as and when I get a full range of the Adventure 2000 series together, which I might do. That could be a sub collection of mine, I guess, given that I've now got two of them. And I've also got another one, which is I think again you'll have seen it before, but I've got a Battle King missile launcher, which was repainted to form an Adventure 2000 rocket launcher. And I actually think that I had the Adventure 2000 version of it, because there's something about the one that I've got which doesn't really ring any bells for me, and yet I know it's really familiar. And I think it's probably because I had the one in this colour, whereas the one that I've got is darker. So, but they are identical, they're just repainted. And so that's why there's this sort of crossover in my head. And I think I had this version, and I also associate it with the Crusader. I don't think I had the Crusader myself when I was little, but I definitely have a sort of mental link between the two. So I think that's probably what it is. So again, if I see, if I do see the more Adventure 2000s going for reasonable prices, then I probably will pick them up. I think it would be rude not to. So that's it for this one. I've only got one of the tank tracks sadly on this one as well, but actually I've actually seen the tank tracks being sold as reproduction versions, so it probably is possible to get a second one if I wanted to sort of dress it up a little bit more prettily. But the thing is, if you display it at the right angle on the shelf, it won't matter. So that's it for me for now. Cheers.